All right, and we are live.
Brilliant.
Welcome to
So, Brennan,
SEO Career
um,
Mastery.
for those people who don't know, we started working with you last month, I think,
Yeah.
for an SEO strategist role. But what we actually found on our initial call, myself and Josh, which was crazy, and I think a lot of people wouldn't know, you actually started this company when you were 13. Is that right?
Oh, that's where we're starting this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So what was the sort of the motivation behind that, or how did that end up coming about?
The origin story. Let's see. So as the legend goes, I was very I didn't have many friends growing up. I was a little bit of an outcast. Just hard to connect with people, and I didn't have much to do with my time. So I built.
Can you hear? Or have we lost audio? We've
Yeah,
lost
Brennan, I
audios.
think we've lost audio again. It's coming up as mute on your screen. I don't know if it's muted or.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's better.
Let me switch back to the other microphone real quick. There we go.
No.
No.
All right, technical difficulties, but here, I'll use this microphone and this will work well. This is all good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
So the origin story then.
Yes. So the origin story is built a website for my mom's business, a speech pathology clinic, and then I started going after soliciting the parents of the students that went to my school who own businesses to build their websites.
Oh, wow.
And that continued for a while. And then I said, why don't we just do everything? And SEO was one of everything, and PPC and social media. And short version of the story is we sucked at all of it. It was all really bad. I had hired my first employee when I was 16 full time. I hired a full time ads person, but we only had $2,000 a month in ads business. So needless to say, I learned how to run a business a little bit better over the past 8 years. But all that goes to say that, SEO was one thing where it was a recurring revenue model, which is really good for predictability. It's a long-term commitment in that you're doing something strategic. It's not a tactic, it's a strategy. And it's meaningful to be a part of it. And it's something that we developed a skill set for as I built out the team, which is still a small team, but just very, very process-oriented SEO.
Brilliant. And I know you try specifically focus on the travel and tourism niche. Was there a particular reason for that, or was that just sort of your biggest interest? Or
I have a short answer and a long answer. I'm going to give you pieces of the long answer.
Okay.
Number one, as a mission, our organization's mission is to increase diversity in the world. And diversity of thought is a big part of that. And I can't think of another industry that can take somebody, put them in a different location, and have them see something new, get out of their comfort zone, come back and be a different, typically more well-rounded person. And that's travel. So it aligns deeply with our mission. On top of that, industry conferences happen to be in Barcelona, Greece, and Berlin this year, all in the next 3 months. That's one of the other perks. The other thing is the travel industry is underserved by a sophisticated SEO agency. Most of them are checkbox SEO agencies where at this point, it's kind of coming to where you can use AI to do nearly everything those checkbox agencies do. And the industry really needed a strategic consultant to work as extensions of their team, which is where we came into the picture.
Brilliant. And how did you sort of realize that there was an opportunity there, or was that just sort of you had one client that turned out really well, or? That's
honestly as scary of a decision as it was to go and say it was one case study. We won a US Search Award for Best Travel and Tourism Campaign of the Year, which we go up against agencies that have 200-300 people in them, and being in that room in Vegas and getting called up with the client was incredible. and that's a solid case study. You can read it on our website. It's the Thrifty Traveler case study. And they're one of our 14 travel clients now, I think.
Brilliant.
Speaking of success stories, I saw that on your website you had quite a few lists of interesting success stories. Have you noted any common threads along those success stories, like prevalent strategies that you use, or is it sort of specific to each client?
It's very so we have this overarching framework called the Organic Visibility Framework, and it's a process by which we build authority, we develop content strategy, and improve technical indexation and crawlability of the site. So we approach everything the same way, but the individual strategies we use from a standpoint of what the content is, or what types of links we're acquiring, or how we're approaching technical, whether it's a large or a small site, if indexability and crawlability is really an issue, or if it's a 3-page website where that's not really a big issue. It depends on the specific client and the specific space. But the great thing about travel is you specialize in a space and you notice these trends. So a trend is, we use data to do our analysis, and best practice in SEO is to have a small page, a page that loads fast. It's funny, we run statistical analysis and time again. When we look at the top 100 ranking pages for the keywords that we target, the first page is generally 5 to 6 times larger. The first 10 results on Google on average are 5 to 6 times larger than all the other results in search, which tells us larger pages actually perform better in travel. And it's because travel is so visual. You want to see what you're getting, right? So that's an example of how the travel knowledge applies specifically to that space. But beyond that, it's different for every client. And we still maintain some of our non-travel clients because our approach is still, it's still solid. So
it's still solid.
Right.
Still solid.
We in our previous webinars as well, we highlighted quite the importance of SEOs in the industry right now, young SEOs, and the importance of them sort of expanding into different niches and not just picking one specific. So when you speak about the different departments that you have within your agency, do you, if you had to chat to a younger SEO at this point in time, would you advise them, especially now with the development of AI and the ever-evolving industry right now, would you advise them to stick to a specific niche, or would you say expand and cross?
Are we talking vertical or horizontal? Are you saying sticking to SEO or sticking to like a...
I think, would you like stick to sort of technical SEO or more sort of content or on page? Like, would you rather have somebody who's well-rounded or somebody who's, I know you're very sort of more technical orientated, but
I will say,
something like that.
Like, let's think about how AI works, right? It's trained, large language models, which generally is what people are talking about now, are trained by getting the same content that Google's using to give search results. They crawl a set of data, and the sites, there's going to be crawl budget gathering data from the internet takes server resources. So the technical part of it, I don't see changing substantially, because to train a model like ChatGPT, you need access to websites, and what is changing, like ChatGPT released plugins. They announced plugins this week, and you see specifically for travel and tourism, Expedia and Kayak, which are Bookings Holdings and Expedia Group, and OpenTable, which is, I'm not sure if that's used widely in the UK, but in the US it is. Booking.com, Booking Holdings.
Yeah.
Bookings Holdings has that brand as well, and you're going to be able to research flights, etc., and book restaurants straight from conversational AI. So there will be more. It'll be more difficult to surface in results. But like, going back to the question of, would you say specialize in technical versus content? I don't see a long-term outcome in which a long 4,000 word blog post on a specific topic is going to be a strategy that continues to work forever. I see that being the first thing to go. People are going to expect to get a very concise answer to what they want. And that's what these chat models are teaching us is that we can get exactly what we want very quickly. Not only that, we can tailor it to exactly the tone that we want it to be in.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting because long format content that's written for everybody, I don't think is going to have the same impact as it has in the past.
And how do you think
Definitely
it's
not.
affecting agency owners at this point in time, especially if that's sort of the...
Everybody's like keeping a cool face, but everybody's scared. That's what I see. Personally, we have some diversification work that we're doing to hedge a little bit, but business development right now, we're on a no project start until May 1st because of traction right now. So people are still certainly interested in investing in organic search, because when you think about it, maybe 1% of the people or less who are using Google historically have gotten half of their answers from chat now. I don't see it being a quick phase out because it's going to take a lot to change a population. There's people like us who are super excited about it who will use it, but there's people who are also accustomed to search. Generally, it's going to be sticking with older generations, and
big time.
Who also happen to be the people who spend a lot on traveling, especially retired people. So,
yeah, exactly. And sort of speaking of sort of younger SEOs and stuff like that, obviously you do a lot of hiring yourself. What we found to be very unique to yourselves was the culture index. Do you want to talk about that a bit? Just explain why that's so important.
Yes.
Obviously, you want people to be a good cultural fit, but
so Culture Index, it's one of the hiring tools we use, and I learned it from the Entrepreneurs Organization is how I got connected with it, which is a group of men. It's an international business owners group. I think there's about 17,000 members, and essentially with Culture Index, we're able to send well. Let me separate Culture Index from culture. The word Culture Index is not. It has nothing to do with culture. The tool Culture Index. Culture, when we talk about culture, mission, vision, values, that's culture. Culture Index is work traits. So detail orientation, autonomy, sense of urgency, patience, logic, ingenuity, gas tank, emotional gas tank, energy units, and detail orientation. So we use that as part of, we have a specific model for what we're looking for the people that we're hiring. We have a lot of different types of roles that we hire for, but if someone applies through Culture Index and they apply for a strategist position, but we see they're a much better fit for an operational position because their Culture Index profile matches that, even if they don't have the experience there, we'll say, would you be interested in looking at this position instead?
Brilliant. And how accurate do you find it to be? Do some people surprise you when they take you on board, or is it sort of usually bang on?
I would say, so the interesting thing is it's been out for decades, and only about 5% of people do their surveys change over the course of their life, their results. And this is, a little bit, well, that being said, yes, I have been surprised, but also more frequently, I'm not surprised at all. I can talk to somebody for 3 to 5 minutes and just understand like where their thoughts are. Are they a macro or a micro thinker? Are they inductive or deductive? All those things are indicative of what a profile looks like, but we still use the tool to validate.
Yeah, getting a bit nervous now because I know me and Josh obviously filled it out as a test run, and I know mine didn't.
Did I read yours to you? Did I read yours to you? I did, right?
I think you read it to Josh. I don't know if you read it to me, but Josh has sort of summarized it in 2 sentences or so. I don't think it was great, to be honest with you. But I think it turned out that it made me and Josh work well together. I think there's a good sort of correlation there, but it wasn't as positive as I was hoping for, to be honest with you.
There's positives and negatives to everything. I always, whenever someone has a similar profile to me, I point out the negatives because it's fun. And you should understand that you're in the UK. Y'all do a lot of self-deprecating humor over there. So
yeah, big time. So yeah, as I was saying, we're also really big on sort of personal brands. And I know you were saying yourself, you're always sort of conferencing around Europe there. I think you were away, was it like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, around Europe. How important do you think sort of networking is and going to conferences for people in SEO? whether that be sort of junior people or agency owners?
I took a team member that's been with us for 8 months, 10 months to that conference because I see so much value in, first off, SEO conferences are great. I personally don't go to SEO conferences. I go to travel conferences.
Okay.
I think it's a great opportunity to learn about the business and the industry and apply our knowledge of SEO to that industry. So I think as an immersion in a specific industry, conferences are the best possible tool because you get to be with the people, you get to be one of them. Whereas SEO conferences, it's kind of like a who's who. It's a size of people. But junior SEOs for sure should go to SEO conferences, and people with thought leadership platforms should for sure go to SEO conferences. I mean, Brighton SEO is a big one, obviously, in the UK. And I think that without a shadow of a doubt, there's something to be learned when you sit down in a room and someone's presenting. There's always something to take away.
Have you been to Brighton SEO yourself?
I have not. I have not.
It's on next month if you're looking at ticket.
Is it?
Yeah.
I only go to Europe when I'm speaking for a conference.
We're having our own event in Manchester here in June time, so be more than welcome to come over to that, and a few big speakers at it.
Very cool. We'll certainly talk about that.
Definitely. Sheree, do you have anything there?
Yeah, outside of networking conferences, how do you generally stay up to date and inspired in your like sort of daily motivational aspect? Do you follow certain mailers or certain SEOs that post on LinkedIn a lot? How do you sort of keep that inspiration tank running?
Well, it's always interesting. My team publishes something called the Navlog every 2 weeks, which is our bi-weekly newsletter on what's new in search. So that's always exciting for me to read. I assume you're talking specifically about SEO. So, that I think Marie Haynes puts out incredible content on algorithm updates and penalties. We use a lot of tools that are built by Ted Kubatis, and being on the forefront of using data to do SEO by running statistical analysis of search results rather than best practices is an incredible way to stay engaged because things are always changing, and clients keep us on our toes for sure. There's always something new, so never a dull moment.
Awesome. And then just to follow up with that on a more personal approach, how do you sort of fit in the work-life balance at the moment?
What is work-life balance?
Being pulled away from the screen for a bit.
I fly small planes. That's one of my favorite things in the world. So that's generally what you'll find doing if you don't see me here. That and I have a 4-month-old white Labrador, and that dog is a menace. And that is absorbing most of my time as well.
Shame,
I was going to say I have a golden retriever, and I'm telling you, they don't get any better. Like, to be honest with you,
I love Goldens. They're they're so dorky and cute.
Yeah, he's so stupid. He's so stupid. But seeing as you were talking there about you tend to stay away from the SEO events and more focus on the travel ones, do you find is that like a good way for you to pick up clients, or is it just more? Is it all about learning the industry, or is it a wee bit to do with business side of things as well?
It's both. It's certainly both. A lot. I would say probably half of the work that we do has come from conferences and in-person events. So yeah, it certainly is a part of it. But really, just being a part of that community and feeling like you fit in is awesome. And then I can imagine if you're not specialized, you do get that at SEO conferences. This is just for me though. So
yeah. Brilliant. And in terms of sort of the growth for Propellic, then is there sort of a clear vision for even 2023 or the next sort of couple of years?
There's a very clear vision.
Brilliant.
Some of which I'm happy to share, some of which I'm keeping close to my chest.
Yeah.
But there is a need in the market for well, diversification is the name of the game. We're
Mm-hmm.
growing 5-8% per month right now, which is insane.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
That's the reason we've got the new project hold through May 1. And because we have a 4-month training process to get everybody accustomed to our process, the organic visibility framework that we bring on, and we're still going through that process. But it's there's a lot of we have a new team member starting on Monday whose sole purpose is to build out more content for the industry. So we're working to become the travel and tourism marketing place to be.
Perfect.
And
Happy days. Happy days.
oh, sorry, guys.
Oh no, well, I was just going to mention just quickly, we find the onboarding process a big factor for a lot of our clients. Like, we can obviously go out, we can find you brilliant candidates and stuff like that, but once we put them into the company, it's kind of up to the client then to like make sure they're integrating well with the team, fitting in nicely with everybody, getting on well, knowing exactly what they're doing. So what sort of involved in that 4-month process? I know it might not be able to disclose too much if you don't want to give too much away, but
I'm
sort of
an open book.
factors in that?
For anything that's done, I'm an open book. For anything that might change, I keep it close.
Okay.
This is done. We have, I'll send you the 15-page document that our strategist and associate operations director put together. But it is first and foremost, we're a hugely values-driven organization. From say it like it is to deeply aligned vision, execute relentlessly, so on and so forth. We've got 5 of them. And that's the first thing we want someone to be able to always, whenever they're in a call, whenever they're working, present in that way. And we hire for that. So it doesn't typically, it's not typically an issue. It's not, but we want them to be able to tell people about them, because that's how we differentiate ourselves. One of the ways that in data-driven SEO is how we differentiate ourselves in our positioning. But that onboarding process is really about the culture first, then the knowledge. So they're going to spend about a month shadowing, learning, a month being in client calls with a lead, with an associate director, and then the following month they'll learn project management basics and start facilitating their own projects. Sorry, that's month 4. Month 3 is there's 2 months of side-by-side work. So shadowing, then 2 months of side-by-side, then 1 month of done by themselves, and shadow the associate director is then shadowing them. So
brilliant.
I
think you find that to be quite effective then after the sort of 4 months. Is it make or break then for the person?
What was that?
After the 4-month period, is that sort of make or break then for the person, or are they usually most of the people sort of set to go after 4 months?
I think that they're it's a really solid training process. So I think it's I think that's the amount of time needed to get, because we're hiring people with 5, 8, 10 years of experience already in SEO. We're just training them on our process. So they look, sound, act, and appear like us. Not look like us. There's no way to look like us. But sound like us and conduct business the way that we do, and align with our core values. And that takes about 4 months. So it's not new content for them. It's just different.
And do you? Sorry, we sort of had this question running through our webinars where the current conversation of remote working versus working in office is going on, and how do you sort of incorporate culture into that? So, where do you stand on that sort of hill? Are you pro remote?
My answer pre-COVID is very different from my answer post-COVID. Pre-COVID, we were in person in Austin. Post-COVID, we're everywhere, from Argentina to 6 U.S. states to 4 U.S. states to Europe, to Western Europe. And the interesting thing about it is culture stays strong because we have daily huddles, we have weekly team meetings, we have one-on-ones. we're actually going. The whole team is going on a cruise in 3 weeks. That's our annual retreat. Actually, we'll be getting back a month from today. We're going to the Bahamas, which will be fun. But
is there any positions for recruiters or anything like that?
What was that?
Is there any positions on the ship for your recruiters or anything
So it's
like
funny.
that?
The first ticket we bought like 8 months ago, and it was like $300 a person or $400 a person. And then we brought on one new team member, and we had to buy his ticket $2,000 because there was one room left.
Oh,
Wow.
no. And how long he's away for? Is it a week or?
No, so we're leaving on a Friday and coming back on a Monday.
Oh, brilliant. Happy days.
Lovely way to de-stress.
Actually, we're leaving on a Thursday, coming back on a Monday.
Okay, not too bad. So how do you, so outside of daily huddles and weekly annual meetings and stuff like that, how do you sort of keep that company culture? Do you say it's primarily through your onboarding process where you incorporate keeping that company culture going for your remote?
There's always a conversation of values. Every Friday we do core value shout outs. So there's a tool that we use called Bonusly that allows people to give each other credits for doing great work, or resembling our core values rather. And we celebrate those in the call as a team. I would say that's probably the core other way to keep that alive.
Okay, awesome. That's great.
Just sort of, if you had 3 tips for people who are looking to get on, especially people wanting to work for companies like yourselves, what 3 tips, obviously apart from being a really good SEO, what sort of other things are you looking for in a CV?
I think really like the most important thing that I always look for is hungry, humble, smart. Somebody who wants to make things happen, is not doesn't have a big ego, and knows their stuff. Hungry, humble, smart. I learned that from my coach, Tim Hamilton. And that, and then, as far as skills, continue refining your skills. Never settle for where you are. Things are always changing every single day. We had a March core update rollout that should be finished in a couple of days, but things change. The best practices don't change. One of the issues that I see, especially for people who are in a job that is not an agency, is that they stop learning because they're the subject matter expert in their company. If they're in a corporate job, or if they're the only SEO on their team. And I would encourage those people to continue learning, to encourage their companies to invest in their continued education, because SEO changes every day.
Yeah, big time. And so
that was 2.5.
What is it, sorry?
That was 2.5 things. You asked for 3.
Yeah. Well, if you have another half point, feel free to add on to it.
I don't know. I'm gonna settle. We got 80% of the way there.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. I forgot what I was going to say now, but in terms sort of, if you saw a CV from, say, somebody with 5 years experience, but he's purely in-house, would that still be something you'd be willing to look at, or do you prefer somebody? Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
brilliant.
It's a learning curve. I would be very, very clear in the recruiting and hiring process that it's going to be different, and expose them to maybe a couple of client calls just so they can see the dynamic differently, because you don't have one stakeholder at that point, you have 10. Or if the client has multiple people on their call, you have 15. And then you've got your manager, you've got the agency, you've got client. Yeah. So it's different.
Brilliant.
And then I just have a question if we run around at there. It's a quick one. Do you have any tips and perks of running an SEO agency? Maybe half of each.
Tips and tricks of how to run an SEO agency?
So a perk and a pit. So like one of the perks of it, and maybe one of the challenges that you struggle with at the moment.
Got it. The perks right now for me are traveling for work. I love that. My fiance hates it, but I love it. And a pitfall, something I'm struggling with right now is we're as y'all have learned, we're very specific about the people that we hire.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
finding enough of them to sustain and support the incredible clients that want to work with us has been difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully we can work together a lot more
yeah.
down the line. And especially, I take it, how does the growth look for this year? I know you've already sort of taken on one or two, and hopefully we close up this role here today or some stage next week. But are you looking to expand the team much more, or are you kind of happy with the way it is at the minute?
We're looking to expand. I don't remember exactly what my
Okay.
forecast was for the year. I have it all documented. But travel is on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And the value proposition is stronger than ever. The need for SEO is as strong as it's ever been, specifically for transactional work.
Yeah.
Whereas content may go by the wayside a little bit over time for shorter form conversational content. It's still a consideration for sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. But no, that's brilliant. Well, hopefully we can work a lot more then over the next sort of year and more. But listen, we know you're a very busy man, so I think we'll wrap this up here, and we'll drop all the links to Propellic and everything like that on our YouTube and LinkedIn and stuff like that as well.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah.
Perfect. No, thanks for the time, Brennen. Much appreciated.
Yeah. Thank you. We learned so much from it as well.
Don't listen to any of it.
It's all lies.
All lies.
No, brilliant. Appreciate the time, and listen, have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers, Brennen. Thanks very much.